So, oh, I was about to tell you that this meeting is being recorded because it just reminded me on my screen. And my name is Janice Brody, and I am a former staff and current board member. I was also the co-founder with Anna Waring of the STEAM middle school program. I've been a longtime donor and advocate, and this year I am a volunteer senior advisor. So for those of you who might be unfamiliar with FCE, FCE's mission is to increase the number of students of color from East Palo Alto and similar communities who graduate from a four-year college or university. So we start working with students in grade 6, and we stay with them and their families until they graduate from college. FCE is among the most successful college access and success programs, not just in the Bay Area, but in the entire country. And we have received national recognition as a model program. So at the end of our program, there will be time for questions. And if you could just mute your microphones, unless you're asking a question during the Q&A period. And as I said, the event is being recorded. So our moderator today is going to be Angela Schmida. And Angela is also on the board, and she is the Vice President for Student Success at Menlo College. She, excuse me, this is going to be a long recitation. Okay, she is Project Director of the U.S. Department of Education, Title III grant to support student achievement and retention. She's Menlo's Accreditation Liaison Officer. She advises the University Innovation Fellow Program and TechStar Startup Weekend. She is president of the Rotary Club of Menlo Park, where she mentors Rotary scholars and advises Menlo College Rotatrack Club. Angela has a BS in Human Development from Vanderbilt University and an MA in Sociology and PhD in Education from Stanford University. That is a lot to say. Angela is obviously highly talented. And I would hope you would please welcome Dr. Angela Schmida.
Thank you so much, Janice, for that kind introduction. I am thrilled to be a board member at FCE. I'm just wrapping up my second year working with the organization. FCE is it's a special place. It's a special organization. Their commitment to diversity in education and closing the achievement gap is incredible, not just in terms of the students as they help them along, but in terms of the achievements that we achieve with the program outcomes. So thrilled to be a part of this organization. But today is about the students that we have with us. We're going to hear from 3 members of the FCE class of 2021. They're about to make that passage from high school to transitioning to college. They've all recently committed to a specific college or university, and you're going to hear about their journey and their process for that, how they decided where to apply, and how they made their final decision about where they will attend. But before meeting the students, I want to introduce an important person, Josue Castellon. Josue is the Senior Program Manager for College Success at FCE, and he helps guide more than 20 seniors through this college selection process each year. Josue?
Thank you, Angela, and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. Wanted to spend a quick few minutes just talking about our senior advisory program and the ways in which FCE supports our students through this college application process. For many times, we're very lucky to work with our students since 6th grade, and at some point, some of our students join us in 9th grade or at the end of sophomore year. So we have some intensive work and high-touch services we provide for them, but starting junior year, at FCE, we feel it's very important to start working with our students deeply within the connecting of the college application process. So not only have they been learning about the institutional systems, the A through G requirements, the test, all the pieces are important, exposing them to visiting campuses. We now start going deep into developing. And one of the things that we do within our organization, because we have the opportunity to, provide our students with something we call senior advisors, kind of like their college coaches that support them throughout this entire process. Starting in the second semester of junior year, our students are paired up in teams with senior advisors. Many times it's one advisor or two, specifically supporting them around the college applications and their personal statements and essay writing. And that's very special for our students to have more of an intimate support from volunteers, from people who have an experienced background in college admissions, who may be writers, or individuals who really care about our organization's mission and want to give back. And in the smaller settings, the students have the ability of working with their classmates as well throughout this process. In the virtual landscape, of course, we converted everything in the virtual set and had breakout rooms. When we're in person, we do come together once a month as well and have space within our office building for students to be working with your advisors, checking in with them and outside of the space as well. So like I said, we start second semester of junior year. So our current juniors at the moment just met their advisors last month. And we'll be working with their advisors starting from April all the way up until December. Our current seniors that you'll be talking with today were in that same process. Last year, in the midst of COVID, when it was the hardest, got the opportunity to meet their advisors virtually and started working with them throughout the summer. And we covered key topics as well during some workshops that we offer. So personal statement writing workshops, developing that college list, opening up the applications, understanding the difference between the UCs and the CSUs and the common applications, and really guiding our students through that process. Our essay advisors really working with our students to make sure that their essays fine-tuned, make sure that they're answering the questions and the prompts, and really supporting our students up until December, January, in the midst of when all applications have been submitted. From there, we also keep our advisors around where we are working with our students in April to start working on making a decision on the college, because it's always helpful for them to see the end piece as well. Where were they admitted? What are the financial aid packages? And ultimately coming to the moment by May 1st when our students make a decision. So it's a very special thing that we can do and we can provide because we are small, because we are high touch. Thank you, Angela.
Great. Thank you, Josue, and thank you for all the incredible support that you provide to the FCE students as well. So without further ado, let's welcome our three students. A brief introduction. Aman is a senior at Palo Alto High School. He joined FCE when he was a middle school student. Roland is at Menlo School and joined FCE as he was going into high school. And Eileen is at St. Francis and joined FCE after her sophomore year. I have a series of questions that I'm going to ask each of you, and then we'll open the floor to our participants for questions. When we do, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions. Okay, to get us started, I'm going to start with Aman. Aman, you've been with FCE the longest, so I'm going to start with you. You started at FCE as a middle school student. Can you talk a little bit about how FCE worked with you over the years to provide you with this knowledge and information about the college process?
Well, they started me off kind of slow. So during middle school years, around 7th and 8th grade, we visited colleges and talked a little bit about college briefly. And then once I got into high school, they started to go more in depth around junior to senior year.
Great. And were there other activities that were involved in that process?
Oh yeah, in middle school and stuff, during the summer, we did projects and stuff to build community bonding, have stuff like that. Even in FCE2, we used to have an annual place where we go to a ropes course to build trust with our grade level.
Great, thank you. And Eileen, I hear that you have applied to 19 different schools. That is just incredible. Can you please tell us about what went into that process of creating that list of schools? You don't have to go into each one of the 19. I know that you that was quite a bit of a process, but what were some of the specific factors that influenced you to add those extra schools to your list that you applied to?
Yeah, so I worked closely with my senior advisors to formulate that college list. The factors that I was personally looking for was for smaller schools, schools that offered engineering, because that was the field that I wanted to go into. At that time, I wasn't sure which specific field I wanted to go into, but later on, I decided on computer science. So that was than another aspect that I was looking for. And I also wanted a college where I felt that I could succeed and thrive in, not just academically, but personally as well. And I also wanted also a school that would give me and my family the best financial support, since that's always something that we're looking for.
Great. And I'm curious if geographic location played into your factors at all.
It played some part. I was open to going to out of state, but I would prefer to have stayed locally a little bit.
Okay, great. So Roland, like Eileen, you had a fairly long list of schools on your list. Can you share a little bit about what you were looking for in a college and why you chose to apply to the schools that you did?
Yeah. So there are four main factors I was looking at, and that the first one being the financial aid package. So I looked at schools that met full need without loans, and if they couldn't do that, then which schools like got the closest to that.
Mhm.
So that was the first thing I was looking at. The second thing I was looking at was strength in my major. I knew I wanted to go into STEM,
Mhm.
and more specifically, I was leaning towards computer science. So I looked for schools that were strong in that. And my third thing I was looking for was location. So I saw this as like I saw college as an opportunity to really mature as a young adult. So I was hoping to be in a place where I could gain independence and kind of grow in this new community. So that tended to be schools out of state. And then my fourth category was this like more like spiritual vibe I was getting from a school. Like, did I match with the school culture? Was the political climate right for me? Stuff like that.
Yeah, I think feeling like the fit between you and the college is really important. And sometimes you just know that from meeting people and visiting and being able to really spend some time there as well. You know, it can be overwhelming trying to decide where to apply. How did your FCE senior advisor help you create that list that you applied to?
Yeah, my senior advisor really helped me round out my list. So at first, I was really top heavy, is what I would say. I had a lot of reach schools,
Mhm.
um, and so um, my mentor really helped me. They give me almost like a reality check and really round out my list. And with that also came some more confidence in the college application process.
Mhm.
Um, just because I feel like I was almost like throwing darts at um, without seeing, and then my advisor really helped me. Um, yeah, and some specific schools that they actually recommended were Northeastern and Columbia as well.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard because some schools are getting increasingly competitive. So you have to, short of having a crystal ball, you have to try to figure out what's your most likely chance to get into. Definitely. Aman, your list was relatively short. You knew right away that you wanted to go to a California community college. Can you tell us a little bit about why you made that decision and how early you knew that you wanted to go to a community college?
Well, the truth is not really. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to major in. That kind of took a little longer.
Mhm.
I chose community college because there were a lot more options I could take, and it opened up a lot more routes, which gave me more time, like getting financially ready for your college,
Mhm.
or just finding myself and what I want to do. It gives me a little bit more time to do that stuff, and also I'll be taking the same classes I'm already taking in high school, so
Great.
it's not really much of a change.
And as I understand it, you're going to Foothill, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, it's an excellent school, and I think they do a good job of supporting students as they move into the four-year path as well. So kudos to you for making that decision. So Eileen, as you prepared your list of very long list of colleges to apply to, were there any significant concerns you had about specific schools or colleges in general?
Yeah. Given this year, there was a lot of uncertainty, especially with like testing, not being able to visit the colleges, and like knowing what amount of financial support the colleges would be able to give. So those are the things that I was mostly looking for. I know I was only able to take the SAT just one time since my first one got canceled because of the pandemic. But I know schools were open to test optional, so I was very glad about that. But I still did decide to submit my scores. Um, and then not being able to visit colleges, it really changes the feel that you can get when you do visit them in person. So I felt that that was another thing that was concerning me.
Mhm. Were you able to do virtual campus visits?
Yeah, I was able to do some virtual campus visits, but it's always not the same as like going in person and visiting them.
Absolutely. No, this is definitely a challenging year, and the rules of the game were changed just a little bit. As you mentioned, just trying to get the SAT and the testing and get that set up was certainly an additional barrier. So kudos to you for working through that as well. This is a question for all three of you. So for those of you who participated in FCE Southern California and out-of-state college tours, can you talk about what you learned from that, and in terms of the types of schools you wanted to attend?
I can start. So this was really one of the first times I was A, like away from home, but B, also like one of the first times I was seriously considering a college while I was on campus. So this tour really opened my perspective to things I liked and things I didn't like in a school, as well as also helping me visualize what college would look like. And I'd say that was one really helpful during this college process, but also very motivational, because I had a picture in mind of what it would look like.
Mhm. Great. Okay. What about the rest of you? Any of you able to participate in the tours?
I can go next. So I was actually able to go on the Southern California tour right before the pandemic started. Um, so I was able to go in person, visit those colleges, and I really felt that I got a sense to feel what each school environment felt like, from like the small school environment to the big school environment. Personally, for me, I felt very overwhelmed in the big school environment when we went to go visit there. And I felt that I was also able to ask questions directly to the admissions counselors, as well as like the students that were leading the tours. So I felt that was really helpful in like being able to ask them, and so that they could share their own experiences. And I also found that it helped me to formulate a college list. Like Roland said, you could see what each school had to offer, and like get a feel for what the colleges look like. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the size of the school is definitely something, once you're there, you get a good sense for that. And small schools are a great fit for some people, but not for others. So it's important to definitely get a sense for that. So I'm glad you were able to go on some of those tours. Aman, were you able to do any of the tours?
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to
Okay.
go.
And I've heard though that you've already signed up for some of your classes for this fall. Great job doing that.
Yes.
And getting ahead of the game. Can you tell us a little bit about what the process is going to be like for you to transfer for a four-year school?
The process, I kind of, when I did the community college workshop and stuff, they talked to me a little bit about the process and the transitioning from a 2-year to a 4-year.
Mm-hmm.
And since I already registered to some classes, I kind of have an idea of what I want to do once I transfer to a 4-year. And that main focus will be my major, figuring out what career option I want to go into more than what I could do in community college.
Mm-hmm.
And to prepare myself for the real world. Real world and what my permanent job will be as a career.
Great. And you'll have some time to think about that and work through that. You don't need to know that going into your first year as well. Have you given thought as to which school you might want to transfer to after Foothill?
Not quite. I
Mhm.
kind of want to go somewhere out of state, but I might not. I might stay and stay close to home.
Yeah. How do you think FCE is going to help you with that decision and the journey from 2-year to 4-year school?
I think FCE will help me from what they have helped me before is that we'll probably meet one-on-one. I'll probably meet one-on-one with Josue, and we'll probably talk about my choices for 4 years, and he'll kind of help me. And my college advisor will help me narrow them down to a college where I will be most comfortable in and academically successful in.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's one of the terrific things about FCE is they do have that college success program and to help students even after they get to college and once they're alumni. So you should have plenty of support along the way. So Roland, as you started getting your acceptances that have come in, and I think you have more than a few, what were some of the factors that led you to your list of the top 3 or 4 schools you were considering?
Yeah, so the factors that I used to kind of narrow down my list was the same as the ones I used to decide which ones to apply to, but now there's more of an emphasis on the financial aid package. And that's where FCE really helped, like really being able to analyze like, oh, this is what your real cost is going to be. Yeah.
Yeah, that can be tricky. Financial aid is definitely something you have to look at very closely. So as you made your final decision, and we're all in suspense, can you tell us where you finally made your decision to attend?
Yeah, I'll be going to Stanford next year.
Yay, congratulations, my alma mater. So you'll have a great experience there, even though it's literally in your backyard. It will probably feel like a different world to you as you go there. So that's a difficult decision to make. What went into your decision to attend Stanford?
Yeah, so Stanford gave me the best financial aid package. And it was the best, but like, can I mention what other schools I was admitted to?
Sure.
So I was also admitted to Yale and Columbia. So I was considering between those 3 mainly because those were the ones that gave me the biggest financial aid package. And at Columbia, I had like I had a scholar award, so I got even more money because of that. But Stanford had the best package, and then I'm going into STEM and specifically computer science. So this is the Silicon Valley, and Stanford is obviously really good at the sciences and math. So that's why I was leaning towards it. Then I kind of double checked that with like this more like spiritual like vibe, as I mentioned before. I really like the student culture being this more like entrepreneurial in a sense. And I just thought that although maybe some of the schools had something similar, I felt that Stanford would be the best choice for me.
Yeah, and that entrepreneurial spirit that you picked up on certainly helped build part of Silicon Valley. So I think your intuition definitely kicked in there. Although you had some terrific schools to choose from, that's a very good problem to have, right? So
yeah,
in terms of doing that, very good. All right, I think we have time for one more quick question before we open the floor to questions from others. So Eileen, I understand that your process led you to a school that didn't offer you the best financial aid package. So can you tell us where you finally committed and what made you make that decision on paper?
Yeah, so I'm going to USC in the fall. And what ultimately led me to choose it was, even though that financial package wasn't as good, I was told by one of my mentors to not be short-sighted and lose sight of future potential. So I know USC is known as a good school for their alumni networking. And for the career that I was going into, which is STEM as well, it could, like, I guess, compensate in the future. So that was one of the reasons why I did choose it, even though they didn't offer me the best financial aid package.
Yeah, there are so many different factors that go into making that decision, right? So you don't want to base it on just one factor. So
Yeah,
well, congratulations to you for getting into there and making that decision. So,
thank you.
okay, so I think we have time for questions from folks who are here today. You can unmute yourself and ask questions or put questions in the chat, whichever is easiest for you.
So I'll ask a question. Am I muted?
Nope, go ahead, Janice.
Okay, so the question I have for both Roland and, oh, wait a second, and Eileen is, you both are at private schools and so, or independent schools. And so I'm wondering what FCE gave you that you weren't able to get through the college counseling and the college prep programs at those two really excellent independent schools? And either can go first.
I can go ahead and start with this one. So at school, I do have this program that helps support students for low income families. But I did not feel that I got the most support there. Although they did help with my overall academics at school, in the college process, they did lack that, which was one of my main reasons why I chose to go to FCE when I was applying. I felt that although they did offer SAT prep support, I did not feel supported in like making a college list or in that general support, since there are a lot of students and they can't really just have that one-on-one focus to help guide you which one is best for you.
Great, great answer. Thank you. Roland?
Yeah, I can add on. So at Menlo, the way it works is students have their college counselors, and they're introduced to them sophomore year, and they kind of do some workshops, but like not too in depth. It's mostly to help you find your college list. And as you apply, the college counselors are there to read over essays. Um, but from my experience, I relied more on my FCE support. Um, my my advisor really helped me. Like for most of my essays, I went to my FCE advisor straight away. Just because I felt that because I had that one-on-one support, she could offer more in-depth feedback, and it just my essays turned out better. Like to give an example, at Menlo, my college counselor would give me like a yes, this essay is good to go, rather whereas like my FCE advisor would like have a ton of edits and like sometimes like, oh, this could be better if you have this, but maybe you want to keep it like this. And it was a lot more workshopping in that sense, and that was really helpful.
Great, thank you.
Yes, it's great to get that one-on-one attention. I know some of the school counselors are often so busy and don't have that time to give to each individual student. So Catherine Clark is asking a question about a really important element of the FCE mission. So how has FCE supported your parents and family throughout this process?
I can get started with this one. So especially during the pandemic, a lot of families went to like many different uncertainties and challenges, especially financially. I know for my family, we did go through some of that, and I know FCE was always there asking if we ever needed anything, they were there for us. So I thought that was really sweet and kind, just like knowing that they were there for my family and I.
Great. Anyone else?
Yeah, adding on to that, I know more specifically they'd have like um, I don't know if they call them care packages, but I think it was like once a quarter that they had those. And I know my mom really like took the masks from there, that because they were giving out masks, and that was really helpful, as well as gloves. Um, But other than that, a lot of the class meetings actually have parents and students at the same time. So they really try to get your parents involved with this. And especially for my family, where my parents didn't go to college and they don't even know English that well, um, it's really helpful because they translate it to Spanish and then they make it simple enough for them to be able to understand. Yeah.
In my opinion, FCE is like a therapist. They listen to what you have to say. They won't give you an answer right away. They'll just listen to you. And if there is some feedback, they'll give you feedback. They'll help you with some things, but they just listen. They don't talk the whole time. They just listen and hear what you have to say.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
I add something in really quickly.
Yes.
So one thing I also wanted to add is that with FCE, they don't just like hear support for the students, but for the family as well. So in those meetings, they ask for parents to come in, which I think is really nice, especially since for financial aid, you might need your parents' support with that. So they do offer those resources and explain that here's how the financial aid packages work. Here are the different resources that you can get or how this works in the college process. So they don't just exclude families and leave it up to the students, but they also include the students in those meetings as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Shelley is interested in knowing any of the three of you, did you visit your campus options after being accepted in order to help you decide? And I know we're in a pandemic, so.
Yeah, I can add to that. So after I got accepted into USC, I was considering USC and Santa Clara. So Santa Clara is relatively close by and we visited a couple of times. And it was a really nice campus, but I had gone to USC for the Southern California tour. So I decided to go down there with my family since they hadn't been able to go down there with me. So we did make that trip down there during the pandemic. And although we weren't able to get like tours because of COVID, I did find it useful being able to check the campus and being able to see what resources there are on campus from maps. And I thought that was really helpful and I got to get more of a feel of what I would be going to.
What about the rest of you?
For me, after I was accepted into Foothill, they sent me like a meeting where some representatives from the school went and they talked about what each position does, what they do, and how they help students who attend Foothill. And I thought that was pretty helpful and interesting. And that kind of motivated me more to go to Foothill.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since the pandemic, so it's a lot harder to keep in touch with the seniors and the advisors. So that was very helpful.
Great. And Roland, how about you?
I didn't actually visit my campuses except for Stanford, which is because it's right here. But I know FCE really, they offered to fly me out to Yale and Columbia, so that was really nice. And even connect me with some current students through FCE. But I was able to just talk with alums and current students, and they also had like admit sessions online and like a website where they would like talk about all the opportunities. And I feel like that, although it wasn't really a replacement, it was definitely able to kind of fill that gap a little bit. And it was helpful in making my decision.
Very good. And Claudia is asking, up until now, what do you think is the most beneficial service or help that you have received from FCE?
I'd say the most beneficial help I received from FCE is everything. Because they go over everything. They want to know exactly how was your day. Sometimes they can be your best friend and also be your other family if they need to. They can be strict, they can motivate you to do work, they can be lenient, and just you can just hang out, call them, text them whenever you need help or just want to talk. They also provide one-on-one meetings and stuff. So if there's something urgent you need to talk to them about, they're always available to take time away to help you with whatever you need.
So the whole package is what you think?
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
package.
Definitely. And I think that is part of the secret sauce of FCE as well. And I was a first generation college student, and I wish I'd had somebody to guide me in terms of making probably a more informed decision than I did when I was 17 years old. So it is about that package and following you through the journey, I think, definitely. Yeah. So Eileen and Roland, what about you? What do you think has been most beneficial from FCE in terms of support?
I think like Amon said, I think it's everything. I don't think I have like one specific thing in mind because it's just all really helpful. Especially for my family and I, they both also didn't go to college. So, and I'm the first one in my family to go to college. So I really, I was kind of lost, and without FCE's help, I don't know if I would have been in the place where I am right now. So I'm really grateful for all the help that they've offered for me and my family.
Great. And Roland, does something stand out for you?
Yeah, for me, I think this might be two things, but for me personally, the one-on-one support is really helpful. Kind of, there's this really structured time where you kind of have classes and like learn like workshops and learn about the college process, but then there's also like this like unstructured time that's one-on-one where you're kind of reflecting on your academic experience so far and like seeing how you could do better. And it's just really helpful to have that kind of adult there, especially when my parents didn't really go through that process and they don't really know what I should be thinking and doing. So it's really helpful to have that one-on-one support and like mentor relationship. And I think for my parents, the most valuable thing is like being kept in the loop about things. For me, I respond to my parents' emails for school, so they usually, and my parents can't read either, so it's just really helpful to have someone that can explain it to them. Yeah.
Yeah. So not just support for you, but for your family as well. That's terrific. Now, Rick is wondering what concerns and excitement do you have about going to college, given that things are reopening this fall?
For me, I feel like since now they helped me through middle school and high school, and this is like a new beginning, a fresh start for me. Because it's like they'll still be there to help me, but it's just mostly going to be me. It's not going to be me and them, it's just going to be me. So that's kind of exciting. Something I'm concerned about, I don't really know what to be concerned about. I feel like I'm pretty confident in what I need to do. From what I've been taught by my parents and FCE, what they helped me with in workshops and college visits, and just in general, just talking to me about stuff.
And do you know, Amana, is Foothill College, are they planning to be in person for classes?
That I'm not sure. I think they are. I think they're going to be part way, like you can if you want to, but you can also take classes on.
So you have the option. Yeah. So you've just come from over a year of online instruction, right? So
yeah.
Good. And Roland and Eileen, how about you? As you look to going back to college and things are starting to reopen after the pandemic, what are you excited about? What are you concerned about?
I can start. So I'm really excited about all the opportunities, and just this time I feel like this time, as in like 4 years ago, I was for high school, I was kind of really excited about all the opportunities, and I really wanted to try everything in high school. This time, I really want to focus in on STEM and computer science, and do research with a professor, try this opportunity or that opportunity, but really just focus in on that. Um, yeah. And in terms of what I'm concerned about, I think, especially during the pandemic, I think just COVID concerns.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, just making sure everyone's safe.
that's a concern for everyone. Well, and relationships are such an important part of college. And so you want to be able to have those one-on-one interactions, whether it's with a professor or your roommates or part of a student club as well. So I can appreciate that, definitely. How about you, Eileen? Do you know if has USC announced their plans yet for fall?
I think they're still a little unsure, especially with housing. They haven't really made a solid decision on if there's going to be on-campus housing. So that's another concern we're looking at. But I think overall, I'm really excited for all the opportunities, like Roland said, like being able to do internships, the classes that I will be going into, outside organizations and programs, but also just like learning more about my major and getting more involved with that as well. And I think with concerns as well, I think would be like making friends, since we don't have like that social aspect that we would normally have if it wasn't a pandemic.
Everything will be new, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. And you all started to answer Marisol's question here. What are you looking forward to the most as you embark into a new academic journey? So you talked about internships, potentially doing research with a professor. Are there other things that you're most excited about?
I think college gives you more freedom to do other things that you can do, because I know you get to choose what times you can take your classes, and it's not like a specific set time. So it gives you more options of doing other things that you want, personal stuff that you can do. Like if you haven't learned how to drive yet, you can learn how to drive. You can also go, have a job, part-time job, do that with schoolwork. As Eileen and Roland said, internships, also just studying for your major.
That's right. No, the flexibility is really important. If you need to have a job while you're in college, or if you want to play in sports or join a club or do some leadership activities, it is great to have that flexibility, certainly. So Maria is interested in advice that you would give to other FCE students who are following you in your footsteps.
Sorry, can I clarify the question? So is this to rising seniors, or is
So,
this to like generally like high school students?
yeah, the students who are following next year's class, next year's graduating class, what advice do you have for them?
I can start. So I think specifically about college applications, I think just knowing that the first semester of senior year is going to be really stressful. Whereas like, because I felt like I had this conception going into it that senior year was like easier compared to the other years. But I'd say that the first semester of senior year is actually really like maybe even the hardest one, because you have schoolwork, you still have to get the grades in, and then you have college applications on top of that. And yeah, and a ton of other stuff. Your extracurriculars are still going on. So it's all that balancing is really difficult. I think just knowing beforehand that it's going to be difficult and you just gotta like persevere through it. That would be really helpful. And I think just remembering to like really start early. Like I remember people were telling me in August when the Common App comes out to get started on it, and I procrastinated a bit, and it wasn't it could have been a more smoother process had I just paced myself out a bit more and really started early.
Starting early, great. Okay, Eileen, how about you?
Yeah, so for me, I would say to not be afraid to reach out for help. You have your FC community who's always there and you can rely on. And also, like Roland said, to start early. I know FC does a good job of doing this to make sure that we have deadlines set even before the actual deadline. So that's really helpful. Like if you don't know what you're doing, they're always there for you, and you can also have your things done on time. I know compared to the support that I was getting at school, they wanted it to have done by the deadline. But most of the students, when I saw what they were like stressed when they were trying to get it in by that deadline. But like if I saw what I had done, it was just doing it early. If I did it with FCE's deadline, so I thought that was helpful.
So setting a deadline for the deadline, right? Giving yourself a little bit extra wiggle room. It's always a good idea. Amon, how about you?
I would have to agree with both what Rowan and Eileen said. To do it early.
Mhm.
Always do it early. Don't try to procrastinate or anything. You'll feel like you have time, but time moves faster than you think it will be, because pretty soon you'll have to start racking those in before the deadline reaches. So definitely start early. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what they did with all of us. I think they made sure that we started early to do applications, picking our colleges, making sure we do that early. And even when you don't when you're not doing the college application and stuff like that, just work hard. That's all I can say. Just try working hard. So for you, not only for them, but for yourself. And you want to, they'll always be there for you. Even when we go to college, they'll always be here for us. They'll always be there for you, more so. So just remember to do things a little bit at a time, not just wait a long time.
Mhm. Yeah, and sometimes that's easier said than done. And you all probably had a lot of other activities and things that you were involved in, or maybe you were working. Is there something you would do differently about your senior year in order to allow yourself more of that time to start earlier?
Have a schedule. I
Have a
feel like
schedule.
that was easier for me. I didn't create a schedule to plan out exactly what I had to do. So that was kind of really stressful out for me, because I didn't keep track of time. So it was like I would spend an hour doing something else, and when I should be spending that time working on college applications or homework. So really have a schedule for what you need to do.
Yeah, and high school is a great time to start using Google Calendar or whatever calendar you're going to use, because you'll definitely need that in college. So it's a good habit to get into. That's good advice. Other advice, things you would have done differently to free up more time?
Sorry. I think like Amon said, having a schedule is really important, and being able to have like set times of when you're gonna do something, especially leaving weekends. For me, they were always free, so I always would get the most work done over the weekends. I did have a lot of extracurriculars outside of school, like band, which took up a lot of time. But it's very fun. So that was another thing that was taking up my time, as well as clubs that I was doing. So yeah, just spacing out my time and doing things ahead over the weekend, especially for school.
Mhm. Great. And I know a couple of you talked about STEM, and although this might change in the future, what do you think will be your major when you start college, and what career do you think you would like to pursue? And I'll start by saying you don't have to start college knowing what major necessarily you want to be in, and that can certainly change, and it's okay, and it's normal for students to do that.
I can go ahead and start with this one, but I knew from the beginning that I wanted to go in the STEM field, since I wasn't really attracted to the idea of like humanities or English or histories or that side. Um, So I think choosing computer science for me was the best. Going to a middle school that was heavily focused on bringing out girls for the technology field, and having those computer science classes. I think when going into high school, I wasn't really focused into that, but over the summers I did work on that more, and getting those classes, which ultimately led me to decide to do computer science and engineering, which is what the major that I will be choosing to go into the fall. And I hope to work as a software engineer in the future, in any of the companies.
Great. Do you think you want to come back to the Bay Area?
Yeah, that's always my plan, to come to the Bay Area where all the Silicon Valley is.
It's certainly a good place to be with that kind of major. So
Yes.
definitely. Aman, how about you?
For me, I kind of had to do a little soul searching to find out what I kind of want to do as a major, because my dad always told me find a job that doesn't feel like work. And so that really meant like looking at what I like to do, what's something that I would do 24/7. And I like helping people. I like putting a smile on people's faces. I'm a kind person. It doesn't really matter if there's nothing in it for me. I still like to help people. So I think sociology would be helpful with that, because you can become a therapist and you can listen to people and help them out. And there's a lot of other things you can do in sociology to help people. So
yeah, sociology is great. I have a master's degree in sociology, so I agree. It's, helping you understand people better can help you in any position that I think you're going to be in. Yeah, definitely. And I think a couple of you mentioned internships. Internships are a really great way to do what Aman was talking about, was trying to figure out which career you feel doesn't feel like work. So it's a good way to definitely eliminate some things as well. Roland, how about you? You're also in engineering?
Sorry?
You're also pursuing engineering, you think?
Yeah, similar to Eileen, I'm interested in this like software computer science thing. But what I want to do with it is make manufacturing more efficient. And that's to reduce costs and hopefully make it easier for people to have like a higher standard of living. And I think especially during the pandemic, when you heard about like these like ships that would get stuck in like canals, and it was like this whole logistical mess. I think that's where CS can really have a lot of impact, and that's why I want to go into this field.
Yeah. So you don't just have a major, you have a mission that you want to achieve. So that's terrific. Good for you. Great. Any last questions from the folks here? Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. I'm just really impressed with your decision making and the process that you went to get to where you are. You're all three going to terrific schools, so congratulations to you all. I think we're turning things over to Maria. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Okay, well, I have the wonderful job to say thank you. But before I start saying thank you to so many of the wonderful people that are here with us this evening, it is absolutely important to recognize the achievements of our students. I want to say congratulations again and again and again to Aman, to Roland, to Eileen. You are our future. And I feel so confident in the work and in your pursuit of your dream. And that has come to fruition because of the work of FCE. So congratulations. And I want to extend a congratulations as well to your families, to your parents. All of you have talked about your parents and how important they have been in this journey. And they deserve an extraordinary recognition as well. And that FCE prides ourselves in, yes, our students, of course, beginning in middle school, but at the same time, this is a family endeavor. This is a community endeavor. And your parents have been with you every step of the way. You've talked about Eileen and Roland, you've talked about your parents. You're the first in your families to attend. Roland, you mentioned that your parents don't speak English or don't speak English well. You are setting a journey. You are defining the future for yourselves, for your families, and for your communities. And it's great to hear that you have a desire to come back and to give back to your community as individuals, as part of family members, and all that you are going to contribute to society. So congratulations, class of 2021, absolutely extraordinary. And of course, in my thank yous, I need to thank Angela. Angela, thank you so much for being such an extraordinary moderator. Great questions. And Janice, thank you so much for everything that you do. And Janice, I hope I can say this, Janice, our wonderful board member, team member, volunteer, donor, is celebrating her 75th birthday tomorrow. So happy birthday, early birthday, Janice, and thank you so much for all of your contributions to FCE. And again, thank you as a senior advisor. The students talked again and again about the incredible support that senior advisors provide to our students. And thank you, Josue, my gosh, you are the senior program manager for College Bound. The seniors are the ones that you are responsible, that you have given your time to. You have given hour upon hour upon hour of your time and your support and your recognition to the work that the students are doing. So thank you very much, Josue. Thank you, B. Michael, always working with us, and all the other FCE team members here that contribute to ensuring that FCE is continuing with its mission to ensure that our students of colors from East Palo Alto and similar communities achieve their dreams of ensuring that they continue on to a college, a four-year college degree. So I know, Aman, I know that you are ready from Foothill to ready to go on to your next step. So congratulations again for starting the journey. And thank everyone here. My gosh, you have all been extraordinary, good questions, great support. So I want to thank all of you. Parents are here, donors are here, board members are here, FCE team is here. So all of you contribute to the success of our students. And I want to thank you very much on behalf of FCE for the work that you contribute. We've got some exciting events coming up in June. Achievement reception is coming mid-June or so. And Josue will be sending out messages regarding dates and location and all of that. But the achievement reception, don't miss it, because we are celebrating our middle school students, our high school students, and our college grads. So it is the big event of the year where we recognize all of you, all of our students and their families for the extraordinary achievements that they have received. And my last little thing is there's going to be a little survey that will be provided to you about this evening. And there's also going to be a question about what else would you like to have FCE? This has been an exceptional evening, and we are working on a monthly basis to do these recognitions of what FCE contributes to education, to development as a whole. So if you've got ideas of what you would like to see FCE contribute in the future, please don't hesitate to let us know. But again, the biggest congratulations of the evening are to our wonderful students. Thank you again for joining. Angela, thank you. Continue on. I believe some of our students are going to be at Menlo College, so we know they're going to be very successful there. And Janice, again, thank you very much. And to all of you, have a very good evening. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you at the next event.